Hello and welcome to the first video review from ruleof3.com. We will be talking about Guild Wars 2, a massively multiplayer online role-playing game from ArenaNet. With me we have May C. Hughes, one of the writers for the website. How you doing?
Pretty good. And yourself?
I'm doing good. And we are missing Impressions this week. He did not get the game because he has a terrible PC. Instead, we have a guest reviewer, Lizzie Mannon. How's it going?
Not too bad.
That's good. And for those who don't know me, I am Roy Mannon, the head writer for the website. So, like I said, we're going to talk about Guild Wars 2. For me, Guild Wars 2 is it's an improvement over most MMOs, but it also has a lot of pitfalls. But the first thing I want to talk about is one of the positives, which is the leveling. I felt leveling was very good. It's very quick. It's not too quick, but it's, you don't have to, grind a whole lot, which is a positive. Maze, you?
I found leveling was pretty quick for, like, the first 10 levels. I felt like they wanted you to get into, like, the meat of the game, not just sit around in the first area for too long.
Right. Which is always good. I played Aeon, and that was what happened, is you sit in an area for 3 weeks and go up 2 levels, and that was not good. Lizzie, you?
Leveling wasn't bad. It's just a matter of getting lucky with what you find.
Right. A lot of it is based off of the random events that you've come across, which brings us to random events. Random events, for those who haven't been following Guild Wars 2, are just dynamic events that happen around the world. They're scripted, but they can have different outcomes depending on if you complete or fail, and they reward quite a good chunk of experience points, and they give gold and karma, which you use to buy items, and a lot of experience points. The events are, in my opinion, it depended. Some of them were good, some of them were bad.
Or some of them were just kind of a LOL joke of a quest, and it's like, whatever, just do it to get it done.
Right. Lizzie, you? Feelings on events?
There was definitely some that I prefer over others. Ones that make you collect items and bring it back to the quest giver or whatever, those ones were really annoying. They required way too many items. Ones to just defend or escort or whatever, those ones were good.
Yes, I actually found the best events were just fight the boss, or like fight a couple of waves of just normal monsters, and then fight a boss creature.
Yeah.
I found that to be probably one of the best. Those to be the best, and they also have I think the highest rewards, because they usually also gave at least some piece of gear from the boss.
Well, and they usually broke that into 2 events. There was fighting the waves, and then that ended that event, and then right afterwards they would start the boss event. So it was usually 2 separate rewards.
And also, it also depended on how you did in the first event, because depending on what the first event was, like, there's one quest that you're defending a station, and if the furnaces went down, well, that turned into the light being polluted, which then turned into these tar monsters being spawned. But if you succeeded, then you had flame soldiers coming to attack you, and you're defending off of them.
Never did that one. Sounds interesting.
It's in the tar area.
Oh, that makes sense. I did Sylvari area stuff. So that brings me to the next point, which is for the events, like we said, you do have to have a lot of people in there. But the good news is, at least for me, is you don't have to be grouped with people, and you still get the full rewards for completing the events. I didn't group at all except for dungeons. Lizzie and Maze, I know you grouped for most of your leveling. How was that experience over, like soloing?
It's not a whole lot different from soloing. The only advantages you have is that when you go to do a instanced quest, which are usually just your story quests, your party members could join you in the zone. But when you're out fighting monsters during events or to complete the tasks, which are little hearts on your maps, you have to actually attack everything individually. If I didn't hit his target, I didn't get credit for it. So you still have to kind of treat it like you're solo.
Yeah, which is where the whole event thing was. Events were mainly for that kind of area, which would draw more players from the surrounding area to come in to help attack, so that, whatever enemy or boss or whatever was attacking, everybody would attack to get completed to get the reward. If you didn't have, the people in the area, it kind of chugged along slow, and you had the possibility of not completing or getting it done.
Right. Because I know when, at least on my map, when it was like, oh, there's an event nearby, I ran there. That was instantly my, objective is go do the events.
Yeah, and I noticed a lot of times you can be in an area like dead of nobody around, or you see one or two players, and all of a sudden an event pops up, and all of a sudden you have 15, 20 people just there. There was one in the Char area that was on the border of the Char and Norn area, where you had to defend this mule, and it's just like you would see like 4 or 5 people starting to defend this mule. Not even like maybe a minute or two later, you had like 20 people there. Just all of a sudden, boom.
Yeah, that seemed to be the thing with, like, at least the escort quest is, you would start off with 1 or 2, and then you'd, start going down the road, and then you just see flocks of people coming, then you have an army surrounding, whatever you're escorting.
Right.
Yeah, so I liked events. Like I said, there's a couple, like I said, what we were talking about, there's a couple that were kind of like, and kind of sucked, but most of them I felt were, well done, because most of them were just boss fights for the most part.
Yeah.
But in order to find these events, like we said, you kind of have to look for them, which brings us to exploration. Exploration is by far at least my favorite part of this game. Unlike other MMOs, or all MMOs try to encourage you to go out into their world, explore and, find various things. I think the most recent successful one, in my opinion, was the Old Republic, where you had to go out and to find the Matrix cubes that gave you a stat boost. But Guild Wars 2 takes that to a ridiculous place. There's about
on a scale of 1 to 10, Star Wars is a 10. Guild Wars, 20.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, the map has at least 20, 30, just like go to these locations just to look at them, another 12 go to these locations to complete this quest, or, they're just, the whole map is just littered with things to go look at and do.
It was a lot of, okay, here's the map, you want to go explore, because they had that kind of fog of war on the map, where they would give you the area you were in, but if you wanted to go find out what was beyond this paint, like, brush stroke, you had to go over there to go find out.
Right. But, I mean, it was worth it. I mean, you got tons of experience for it. I know I got almost half a good, when I was leveling half my level just from exploration. Lizzie, I know you had kind of a similar experience with the exploration.
Yeah, from 25 to 30, I was mostly just discovering maps, which involves doing tasks and stuff as well. But there was very little event time in there, and it took me a few hours to get those 5 levels. Right.
So, I mean, exploration...
It's time-consuming, but it's well worth it.
Right, well, I mean, some of the exploration points gave you skill points to, buy skills. I mean, those are pretty dang useful.
Oh, yeah. Skills and traits and anything that helps your character, it was helpful.
Well, you didn't get traits, but you got the skill. Traits are...
leveling
you only got the leveling, which are the main way, those traits made up a good majority of your stats. I mean, the gear itself... I mean, the gear gave you some stats, but traits are what made your class.
Yeah, that kind of defined what your profession style was, because it wasn't just, okay, you're this. No, you're an engineer, but you can focus on more of damage or defending or...
It's the talent point system.
Yeah,
pretty much.
That's what it was. A very complex talent point system.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was mixed in with the skill points. I mean, that was...
There's a lot to do.
Yeah, character customization's pretty high in Guild Wars 2. which is good. I like being able to, have a completely different playstyle than, some other person for the most part. Because at least for my playstyle, I'm playing a thief, and I would do a lot more solo play. It was just, I'd stack as many traps and damaging things as I could. How about you guys?
I'm an elementalist. I started out doing a lot of water so I could heal myself in maze, and then the problem with that was killing wasn't quite fast enough, so I switched to earth and never died. So it also ended up working out a lot better when I did solo for a little bit.
Yeah, I played a engineer. I started off playing an engineer with turrets. Then I came across my flamethrower, and yeah, I've been playing with the flamethrower and grenades ever since.
Yeah, all the engineers I've run across are pretty much flamethrowers. Those things seem pretty overpowered.
Yeah, they're pretty much, because the fact that the main attack that you use is just a straight flame, which doesn't just hit one target. It hits any of the targets in its burst. So you can be hitting 6, 7 enemies for 100 and some odd damage.
Jeez, that is pretty ridiculous. Because right now, I don't see a whole lot of engineers, though. I see a lot of rangers. Have you guys played rangers at all?
I haven't played a ranger yet, but yeah, I've seen a ton of them. I do like what they did with the taming for rangers, though.
You can tame everything, can't you?
They have to be juvenile.
Yeah.
So you go around and you'll see the different types of enemies, and the ones with the green names, like juvenile, whatever, like those are the ones that they can tame. So there's no, like, you don't have to worry about somebody killing that pet that you wanted to tame.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that's how they worked. I just see a lot of them, because from what I've been reading on the forums, they're pretty overpowered.
Yeah, I played a ranger in the beta stress test when they were doing the stress tests before the game launched. Taming just a pet was just basically you ran into an area. If you saw a pet you wanted, you just looked for the one that said, juvenile on it, and you click a button and pretty much you got the pet. And then it's just, depending on what weapons you carry, depends on pretty much how what damage you do.
Okay. Other than that, at least for me, melee seems the most underpowered, because if you get attacked by, 2 things, you're dead. Which is my problem, which is why I've had to switch, because originally I was going to play dual daggers, and I've had to switch to dual pistols because I just don't die as much with pistols.
Yeah, the melee, it's the whole thing of being at close quarters is you still, they say the Trinity's dead in this game. I sort of don't see where it is, because the fact that, like, where me and Lizzie, we play kind of 2 ranged characters, they get in melee range. I know I'm usually down half the time because of the fact that I can't do much without popping something to help.
Which is why I went Earth, because that increased my defense, and I took next to no damage while he was dying. So I could kind of sort of tank. I even used 2 daggers, which are all melee ranged moves, as a ranged character.
Okay. Yeah, because I know they said the Trinity was dead, but while you don't need a tank and healer for a lot of this stuff, because it is a lot more skill-based than other MMOs, in my opinion. I found that when I use a lot more of my utility and dodge is at the right time, I lived a lot longer. But it still feels like, at least for dungeons, which we'll talk about later, it would have been a lot better if there was kind of a Trinity going.
Well, the Trinity's there. It's just they don't emphasize on the Trinity like, World of Warcraft, that you need a tank, you need a healer and DPS. Where this game, it's more or less, as long as you have a crap ton of people hitting the thing, things are going to die. But if you're like in a group of maybe 2 or 3, you still need someone who can at least take damage or heal to help.
Okay.